Welcome back to the Rich Eisen Show. It's a double dip for Joel Klatt, who is calling Stanford, Oregon State tonight, and then tomorrow going to do Utah at Oregon with Gus Johnson on Fox. And thankfully, joining us before his double dip is Joel Klatt. Joel, I assume you're properly hydrated. You can't cramp up with these two gigs in 2 nights like this, okay, Joel?
Listen, I've been stretching. I've been hydrating.
Good for you.
There's been some pickle juice, so I feel ready. I feel ready to go. But that's how everyone feels before a marathon.
That's right. It's not a sprint. Certainly when it's a college football season. I got to tell you, and I said this going to break, I did not see coming Urban Meyer playing it week to week with these quarterbacks. I thought he would name a starter at the beginning of the season, just stick with it. But the latest situation is Cardale Jones being named the starter against the Western Michigan University. This is what Urban had to say about naming Cardale the starter, Joel.
He was the quarterback of the team when we finished the season last year. He was the quarterback of spring practice, the only healthy one. And he finished training camp as a starting quarterback. And at times he's played very good, other times he has not. To replace him, the other guy's got to pass him up, either out there or in games, and that hasn't happened.
Are you surprised in the way Urban's handling this, Joel?
You know, I will say yes, first of all. But in his defense, Rich, I think that if a quarterback makes it abundantly clear who the starter should be by playing great football, then you're not in this situation. So I know a lot of criticism is being levied towards Urban Meyer, but you know, he's got a couple of guys that are essentially refusing to play well right now, which is not a good situation to be in. Now, I happen to disagree with the decision. I don't think you can lose your job based on injury, but J.T. Barrett played at a higher level last year than Cardale Jones has ever played. Cardale Jones, to me, is a dependent player. He needs guys down the field like Devin Smith. He's a big arm, yes, but that's not what they need. They don't need a big arm. They need a point guard with all of their weapons like Jalen Marshall and Braxton Miller and Ezekiel Elliott. I also think that the game plans have been fairly poor. Ezekiel Elliott needs to be featured more. And when I see Cardale Jones run the option, I immediately think to myself, why isn't J.T. Barrett running the option? So without Tom Herman, I think that they've struggled in the game plan situation a little bit as well. They'll get it figured out. I fully expect them to be undefeated when they face Michigan State. But right now, it's a bit of a mess.
Joel Klatt joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. As I mentioned, you got 2 Pac-12 games coming up tonight and tomorrow. And then there's UCLA and Arizona. This is a big game. UCLA has been crushed on the defensive side of the football with an injury bug, with Miles Jack being the latest to be done for the year. Do you see this being a major problem for UCLA starting Saturday night, Joel?
I do, because first of all, you know, I'm the son of a coach. He was a high school football coach for 30 years, and I was taught, not only by him, but then by the coaches that taught me at Colorado, that defenses are built front to back and inside out. That you have to be. It's very similar to baseball. If you've got a great battery, you're good up the middle in the infield, and you got a great center fielder, you're going to be very good defensively in baseball. Well, the same can be said about football. Great defensive tackles, linebackers, and safeties mean that you're generally going to play very good defense. And that's exactly where UCLA has been hurt, with Eddie Vanderdoes going down, the great defensive tackle, and now Miles Jack, who had moved from outside to inside linebacker this year so that he could affect more of the game. Rich, I think it's problematic not just for the rest of the season, but in particular for this week, because Arizona's whole MO with Rich Rodriguez is spread you out and tempo you in order to run the ball between the tackles. And they do it very efficiently with a young running back in Nick Wilson, who last year set the true freshman record in the Pac-12 for yards with 1,375 yards. So I think UCLA is in for it this week. They have got to play a little defense on offense with Paul Perkins, their own great running back, in order to keep their defense off the field against what I think is a very good Arizona team, who was the division champion last year. They're getting a little overlooked this season.
Yeah, and Scooby Wright III's coming back just for this game too.
Dude, he's the college version of J.J. Watt. Now, he's not a lineman. He's so disruptive. If you love watching great football, watch Scooby Wright, because he's amazing. I love watching that guy play.
Well, after watching Thursday Night Football last night, I'm a fan of watching not-so-great football, Joel. You know what I mean? You know.
Well, there's been a lot of that floating around. Missouri, UConn last week.
No, I meant the professional game.
Hey, trust me, I'm with you. Those Thursday night games, well, they leave a little to be desired.
Hold
at times
on now.
with those
Whoa, wait a minute.
professionals.
Hold on, Joel.
Well,
I got to take.
I hear
I
you.
got to put my foot down on that. I mean, look, Denver and Kansas City. That wasn't a choppy game because of Thursday
right.
night football. I mean,
You're right, and that was an amazing game with, I think, one of the best undertone storylines that we've got going in the NFL, right? With Peyton Manning and Gary Kubiak looking terrible in the first quarter, and then Peyton's offense in the fourth. It was great.
I do that. Trust me, that'll be a drama I'll be paying attention to for the next 12 to 16 weeks. I got Joel Klatt with me right here on the show. What is going on in Alabama? I mean, there's all sorts of crazy stories coming out of there right now. And then the discussion that the Nick Saban, is this the end of the era? It's sort of like, it feels the same way of what we were talking about with the Patriots after they got smoked by Kansas City last year, 2-2, and maybe it's the end of the Brady era. What do you make of what's going on at the Alabama program, Joel?
Yeah, it's so. I want to believe that they're going to be just fine, but the evidence suggests that there's a trend right now that's not going in a positive direction. I'm sure everyone's heard it, but in the last 14 games, they've given up 40 points 4 times. In the previous 80 before that, they had only given up 40 points 1 time. And I think that there's an issue with Kirby Smart and Nick Saban's defense in that they're trying to adjust too much. They're so worried about getting the right personnel on the field and having the perfect concept called defensively that a lot of times they create their own vulnerabilities schematically. And the offense, in particular against the spread, Rich, which is born out of simplicity, that simplicity can take advantage of the vulnerabilities that the defense is presenting. And I think that if Alabama were to just sit in base defense and let their athletes play, they would be in a much better situation than when Kirby and Nick constantly try to manipulate the structure in order to dominate on defense. I don't think that you can dominate on defense anymore. I think the Patriots are great evidence of that. Bill Belichick doesn't try to dominate on defense. He's a bend, don't break style of guy, and then when you get into the red zone, what does he make you do? He makes you kick a field goal. And why not make an offense snap it 11 times to score rather than 4 times to score? And I think Alabama needs to probably go in that direction.
Leonard Fournette's on my show Tuesday. Tell me more about this kid who's taking on Brockman, Syracuse Orangeman this weekend. And other than just what I'm seeing on the field of him punking people most of the time with the football.
That was a great description. He is punking people, and it's not just like FCS opponents. He's done it against 2 SEC opponents in division. And he's right now, I don't want to overstate this, but he's playing the best football in the country. He's right now hands down the Heisman frontrunner. He is doing this without a great passing game. We see guys out there that are running the football very well, but a lot of times they've got other people around them offensively that are opening things up. LSU is going to come in, they're going to hand him the ball, and they're going to have 9 and 10 guys in the box, and they're going to run it anyways. And it is so impressive to watch him out there, as you so aptly put, punk people. This dude is a man. I tell you what, if I was an NFL executive, I'd be slobbering all over myself for not this spring, but next spring when he comes into the NFL. I think he's the next great back that we've got going on. I think he's better than Todd Gurley, Rich.
That's saying a mouthful, obviously, Joel. And Gurley, may finally get on the field for the Rams this week. So, Brockman, is there anything that you want to hit on?
Well, look, Joel, Syracuse, we're no joke. We're 3rd in the nation in rushing yards allowed per game, only 46 per game. And I know Leonard Fournette has 387 yards in 2 games. Is there any chance we stop this guy?
No, there's absolutely no chance. And even though it's the only game that an SEC team is going to play outside of the SEC footprint all year long, Syracuse is not going to be close. And they're having a good year. I think they've only given up 44 points, if I'm not mistaken, on the year. So they're doing a nice job. But Rich, you described, they're going to get punked.
Thank you for playing, Chris Brockman, essentially saying.
Checking.
What about my alma mater against BYU? I know, Michigan has gotten a little bit of steam, beating last week UNLV, and then before that, the team that you'll be seeing tonight in Oregon State. What do you think about that game, Michigan and BYU?
I like Michigan. That's music to your ears, I know. And I know that I am a huge backer of just all things Harbaugh because I love his philosophy. but they've got a great defense. They really do. I saw it in person when they were able to stop Devontae Booker week 1 from Utah, who's a really good player. And Utah has a good offensive line that Oregon is going to see Saturday night in my game. But Michigan, I think that's the type of defense that is going to make Tanner Mangum play like a true freshman for the first time this season. And I get the feeling that offensive line, the physicality of their attack is starting to gain momentum at home. Rich, I like the Wolverines to knock off BYU.
Wow. Thank you, Joel. I really do appreciate that. And, I'm enjoying your broadcasts immensely, and I'll be checking you out with Gus Johnson tomorrow night. And tonight you were the national treasure in Timmy B, Joel.
Oh, the tap dancer, baby.
They broke the mold with Tim Brando. Broke it.
He's like a combination of Tim Brokaw and Ron Burgundy all wrapped up into one.
The Brokaw Burgundy Brando combination. I like it,
It's
Joel.
amazing.
I like it. Say hi to Tim for me. It's too bad he has no stories to tell. It's just a shame. Just a shame.
That's right. I'll pick my spot to mention that you said hello.
Please do.
That'll take 20 minutes.
Please do. He's the best. Thanks again, Joel.
got it, bud.
Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
That's Joel Klatt, Fox Sports.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.